Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at how we were shorting gold in the London session this morning. Wasn't really sure what to expect this morning after last night's attack, but we ended up getting some really nice runs in gold this morning. You can see last night there was the big push up on the Iran craziness. Everybody kind of digested that. Fortunately, there were no casualties in the attack. Turned out not to be very major, which again, that's a really positive thing. Happy no one got injured or killed. So gold digested that, pushed back down, put in a low, put in a lower high, and was breaking to a lower low. So we're getting a trend reversal breakout on our 30-minute chart. This area right here is where we're coming into the room, and that's where our trend reversal was happening. The 5 crossed the 13. We triggered the trend reversal breakout lower, pushed all the way down to the 50 EMA. That's our yellow line, is our 50 EMA. At the same time, you could see on momentum we were making a bearish inflection, again confirming our short direction and our short bias for the morning. Got to the 50 EMA and gold found some support there. Kind of chopped sideways, even made a pretty decent pullback at one point, and then continued to head back down. But again, we were bearish. Histograms never went positive. 5 was still under the 13, and we were just testing that 50 EMA kind of over and over and over. Finally triggered a bear flag, headed lower, and got another really nice push down to the downside in gold. On that initial run, we had hit significantly undervalued, and then that's when we went into consolidation, pushed lower, and rode that all the way down. Again, hit significantly undervalued. This was the beginning of the US session, and we were out. This is what that looked like on our Unirenko chart. Initially, when we came in, we were right in this area right here. Gold was getting ready to trigger lower on the 30-minute chart, but we were kind of a mess here. We did not take this initial push down right here. You can see on this chart, we're just kind of moving sideways. Didn't really have a very well established trend. And so we weren't doing anything with this. We were just kind of being patient, waiting for gold to kind of shake itself out and figure out a direction. Our bias was to the downside because of what was happening on our higher time frame charts. And again, we kind of chopped around in here. Moving averages weren't lined up right. Price was in the cloud, chopping between the moving averages. And so we're just not doing anything with this mess right here. We're just kind of leaving it alone. And then finally, everything kind of came together. You could see that the 34 EMA crossed under the 50 SMA. Price moved out of the cloud and below the smooth 50. We got a pullback right here. Got a slow line zero touch on MQ momentum. The slow line is our pink line right here. The zero line is the line that the histograms move above and below. Got a nice momentum reset, so there was room to accelerate our trade to the downside. And we got short right here. Took this down. It's good for 2 targets or $200 per contract. This is where we had hit that 50 EMA on the 30-minute chart, and we kind of consolidated a little bit right in here on the. At the same time, we had established our 30-minute opening range. This line and this line is the 30-minute opening range. We establish a 30-minute opening range every morning in London. Typically, when we're inside the 30-minute opening range or start pivoting inside the 30-minute opening range, we're not looking to trade. So we're not really doing anything with this. This is not a good setup. It looks like a good setup, but again, we're inside a 30-minute opening range and we're still just kind of pivoting here. We don't really have clear direction. We weren't triggering anything on the 30-minute chart at this time, but we're kind of working lower. You can see kind of lower highs, lower lows. We came down here, tested the bottom of the 30-minute opening range, pushed back up, and then we got a decent setup finally. And at the same time, we were triggering a 30-minute bear flag. We had a fast line zero touch, which is the fast line on MQ momentum, which is telling us we had a decent momentum reset, so we would have room for momentum to accelerate our trade in the direction we wanted to go. And we got short right here. We were able to take this down 4 targets off, held on to our runner, ended up taking it off at 50 ticks. So we hit $400 per contract, held on to a runner, 50 ticks, $500 per contract. And then we got the pullback. And this was a pretty strong pullback. Did not take the counter trend trade. We're just sitting tight through this pullback. And again, this was a strong pullback. Pretty much retraced this whole initial move down from here. Broke above the cloud. Set up what we thought might even be a long trade, except we were still below all the moving averages on the 30-minute chart. The 30-minute chart was not confirming a long trade, so we did not take this long. We didn't have any kind of a momentum reset, nothing really telling us to take a long right there. What it did end up doing, it was setting up our trend reversal breakout. We had made a higher pivot high right there. Then we pivoted. This wasn't a lower pivot low. Your previous pivot low was down here. We put in a lower pivot high. A break below this bar would be a lower pivot low, sending the trend back to the downside, which would get us back into confluence with our higher time frame charts. Took the trend reversal breakout, only good for one contract or one target off, $100 per contract, but then set up another trade that we really like. We had broke the cloud, pulled back to the cloud, got a fast line zero touch. EMAs and the SMA weren't aligned perfectly yet. You can see the 34 had crossed the 50 SMA, but the 50 SMA was still above price in the cloud and was still above the smooth 50. So we didn't have perfect alignment here, but decent, nice pullback, momentum reset. Price had broken the cloud, pulled back to the 34, was under the 50, the smooth 50, and under the cloud. So this was a short setup for us, and we took another short. Again, only good for one target off. Pulled back, got a slow line zero touch. Now the EMAs are looking better. The 50 SMA had now crossed below the smooth 50, still in the cloud, but we are at least in alignment with a slow line zero touch. Got short again. This one was good for 3 targets off, or $300 per contract. Got yet another pullback. Pullback kind of strong. Pullback into the cloud. Actually got above the moving averages a little bit. Our momentum wasn't quite right, but what we were doing as we were wicking out of the cloud right here, we were triggering another 30-minute bear flag. So we got short again on the wick out of the cloud, pushed down, got a couple targets off, had a little pullback, trail stop failure, and a continuation. This trade was good for 60 ticks on our runner. Got 60 ticks on our runner off of that trade there, or $600 per contract. Pulled back again, kind of chopped, actually changed the trend. We made a trend reversal breakout to the upside. Don't take these into the cloud, so did not take that trend reversal breakout. But we actually established an uptrend right in here, but we were chopping in the cloud. You know, we had a slow line zero touch here, but it was in the cloud, so didn't take a long trade. We're not in confluence with our larger time frame chart. Came up here, pivoted off of this power line right here and headed lower again, triggered a 30-minute bear flag. Got short off the 30-minute chart. This wasn't really a Unirenko chart, but got short off the 30-minute chart. Good for another 3 targets off right there. Got our wick off the 34 right there. Took another target off right there. And that was it for gold. We'd hit significantly undervalued right in here, but we had taken numerous short trades this morning off of gold. We had a 50 tick runner, which was good for $500, 60 tick runner, which was good for $600, a few 3 target hits for 300, couple one-offs or 100. So a really strong morning to the short side trading gold.